But first up, I'm delighted to introduce Kieran O'Donovan, belong to board member. Kieran, are you there? The, the wonders of technology. There you
Yes, how
are.
are you?
Kieran,
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us today. How you doing?
good, thank you. Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here. Hello, everybody out there.
Kieran, we're going to jump straight into it. Tell us, firstly, how you came up with the name of the report, We Belong Here.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of not a huge amount of debate. It actually came from something that already existed from an anti-bullying week that Belong to had ran in schools that we run every year, actually called Stand Up Awareness Week. It happens in November across schools across the country. And as part of it in 2020, somebody tried to ring me. I had a disaster with my laptop today, but anyway, I'll quickly move forward because it's a really nice story actually of where that came from. So it came from a stand-up awareness week, an existing line, an existing poster with "We belong to here" or "We belong here," "We belong here" also on it, and it was just proven to work really well. So we said, why not kind of bring it into the workshops that we had and see if we use it again. It just gives a real affirmation of presence and just shows people that they're there, that can take up space and to be seen and heard in their community. So I absolutely love it.
I love it. Yes, not about hiding in the sidelines. We
Exactly.
belong here.
Exactly.
And in terms of actually putting the strategic plan together, I imagine obviously a colossal amount of work goes into that. How did you do that? And I guess how did you prioritize everything that's in there?
Absolutely. So I think we're in April now. So it's been, it's an always on piece, but really the year before it's launched, a full 12 months before it launched, it really kind of gets going. And we bring a steering committee together from the board of directors that belong to the SMT, the staff, volunteers, parents, anybody who uses the services, anything to do with the service that you could think of. We include our donors and our funders, our teachers and our parents who are really so key to the young people that use the service, and get everyone together in these larger groups at the beginning and just start working through what are the things that we need to strategically focus on for the next 3 years. And as time goes by, with many workshops, many coffees, many croissants over time, it gets to a point that we really start landing on a really strong idea of what we want to look at over the next 3 years in a kind of a short term and medium term place. So really, you're just bringing all those funders, donors, the board of directors, the brilliant staff of Belong to and the team there. And of course, our young people and our youth advisory board. I know we're talking to somebody later on that. Get them involved as well. I think it's so important to have the voice of the young person at the center of this. So getting everyone together, working through all those issues and those really positive things and things that we want to focus on, and getting everyone together and coming up with this really brilliant strategic plan at the end of it and presenting it with you guys today.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Kieran, for that overview. Very insightful. Next, I'd like to introduce, we had a sneak peek of her there a few moments ago. I'd like to introduce Belong to CEO, Maninha Griffith. Maninha, great to see you. How are you?
I'm really well, thanks, Darren. And
Good.
I'm delighted to see you, as I mentioned to you before we came on camera, and for everybody to know. Delighted that Darren could join us today because, as well as being a huge supporter of ours for many years, I think he's somebody who lives his life out loud and full of joy, and very happily a part of the LGBT community. And I think in a time when there's so much sadness and upset in the media about being part of the LGBT community, sometimes it's easy to forget that actually it's fantastic as well, being able to live out loud about as yourself, and you're someone who does that so beautifully, Darren. So thank you for joining us
Oh,
today.
thank you very much. Well, that's very kind of you. Maninha, you're going to share the new strategic plan, You Belong Here. You've got all the details for
Okay.
us.
Okay, Freya's going to bring up some slides for us now. So first of all, I just to welcome everybody again. So most of you here joining us today will know that Belong To has been working with LGBTQ plus young people aged 14 to 23 since 2003. This year, we're going to expand that group to 10 to 13-year-olds. And we do this by providing safe and fun spaces for young people to meet, by providing individualized support with professionals such as youth workers, and by supporting young people in groups, as well as with education and creating resources for LGBT young people, so online, offline. And our goal is really that any young person who gets in touch with us here in Belong To should feel accepted, safe, and valued. And the two main places that young people spend so much time are in school and at home. So we run programs aimed at parents and carers, educators, schools, and all the important adults in young people's lives, so that they can understand and really embrace and support the LGBTQ plus young people in their lives. We also lead a national network of LGBTQ plus youth groups, supporting youth workers, doing amazing work all over Ireland, so that they can learn from each other and implement best practice, so that wherever a young person comes out, hopefully they can find a youth group that meets their needs. And we work alongside employers, health and social service organisations to help ensure that they're really doing the best that they can to meet the needs of LGBT young people who come into their services as well. So while Ireland has made huge, significant progress in addressing systemic discrimination, and we're coming up to the 10th anniversary of marriage equality, everybody on this call here today knows that the work isn't done yet. So we're working with government and other allies, many of you here today, to make sure that the changes needed for Ireland to be a society that protects, values and celebrates the LGBT young people here living on this island is a goal that we here in Belong To, and the young people we work with, our allies and partners, are all working towards. So as part of the strategic planning process, we workshopped a new vision and mission, which you can see here on screen. And young people across our youth groups and the youth advisory panel, one member of which you're going to meet now in a few minutes, they voted on these to determine the final versions. So you'll see our vision here is a world where LGBTQ plus young people are safe to shine and can confidently shape their own futures. And our mission is one where we work with and for LGBTQ plus young people to create a society where we all belong. So then moving on to our strategic goals, goal 1 is to provide innovative, responsive youth work that supports LGBTQ plus young people to be equal, safe and thriving, and assist other youth services to do the same. So since the pandemic, youth services across Ireland have all pretty much experienced a decline in youth participation for various reasons, including fear about coming into our cities and just getting, and experiencing more anxiety in that. So to listen to the young people across Ireland, we've identified a number of ways to rebuild young people's engagement and address gaps in the services that we provide here. And a key gap identified in support for young people was one for young people aged 10 to 13 who might be exploring their gender identity or sexual orientation. And the other one was a need for a safe city centre space for older young people. So to respond to these, we are opening a group for 10 to 13-year-olds, and we're going to reintroduce Belong To Sundays, which is going to be an innovative way of how we do weekly youth work with drop-ins. And we're going to trial some digital youth work, run new targeted media campaigns, all while continuing to offer the support services that have been the backbone of what we've provided for over 2 decades here in Belong To. We also want to secure a permanent LGBT inclusive youth hub in Dublin city centre with an integrated model of service delivery. And these efforts really are to create a fun and meaningful youth group space to enhance access to inclusive services and to support the mental health of LGBT young people in close collaboration with them. Moving to goal 2 then, about creating spaces for every young person to feel safe and supported in their communities. We are absolutely dedicated to making education more inclusive for LGBT young people by partnering with key stakeholders in the education sector to share good practice, develop quality standards, and train educators. And we've been doing that for over 15 years with Stand Up and the LGBTQ plus quality mark. We also support parents and carers through one-to-one help, with our family support worker, peer groups, resources for creating safe and supportive home environments. And in the workplace over the next 3 years, we're going to explore and then develop a program to ensure that LGBTQ plus young people feel supported by equipping employers with tools to foster inclusive environments. And additionally, we're going to work with social, health and community services to share best practice and improve support for LGBT youth across sectors such as the homeless sector, the drug services and family support too. So moving to goal 3 in relation to driving change and equality through advocacy, research and campaigns. We already do a lot of work to empower young LGBTQ plus activists to drive positive social change through our youth participation model, and while building trust as a source of factual information and services that reflect young people's needs and lives. And we'll raise public awareness through media, the use of digital platforms and campaigns on key LGBT issues affecting young people. Additionally, we're going to advocate for laws and policies that protect LGBT young people, focusing on non-discrimination, the prevention of bullying, healthcare access, and safe spaces. And we'll also continue to conduct research to deepen our understanding of LGBT youth experiences and improve the services based on evidence. Lastly, then moving to goal 4, we're going to continue to invest in our people, our systems, and sustainability of the organisation to achieve our vision. So within a challenging and increasingly hostile environment, investing in our staff well-being and our volunteers and skills is a main focus for us over the next 3 years. I'm going to continue to do this through a learning and development programme aligned with performance goals, alongside a dedicated programme to support our line managers. We'll also enhance our impact by expanding our volunteering opportunities. And we aim to strengthen our organisation by improving our systems, adopting new technologies, prioritising staff well-being and maintaining excellence in governance. To support our mission then, we'll also expand our fundraising efforts and ensure ongoing compliance with legal obligations and best practice in charity governance, and hopefully win a few more awards along the way. So my last slide, I promise, is around our theory for change. And believe it or not, this is a much simplified version of the one that we had before, so you can see it on screen here. And this summarizes and hopefully gives you an idea of what we do, what's new, what we're going to create, and then the results. So our vision, a world where LGBT young people are safe to shine and can confidently shape their own futures. So thanks, Freya.
I love that. I love that.
You on screen, Darren.
Yeah, such a gorgeous message to end with there. I think that last phrase you said, I love it. Menini, I'm curious actually of this new strategy and this next phase for Belong To. What's the part that excites you the most?
Oh, well, so many of the things, as you can imagine. But for me, I think it's about the youth hub. I'm really excited. It's something that came up time and time again from the young people, that they want somewhere to hang out, to meet their friends, to be able to go after school, to be able to go to, at the weekends, to meet up with their friends, meet other young people in Dublin. And, as a proud Dub, I remember coming into, well, Dunleary first and then into the city centre to be able to meet other young people. And you wouldn't have much money in your pocket, but you could hang outside wherever HMV or McDonald's or up in Stephen's Green and meet other kids from other schools all around Dublin. Now, Dublin was a lot less diverse back in the 80s and the 90s, but you still got to meet young people from all different backgrounds. And it's something that's really lacking here in Dublin. And if one thing that we know more than ever is we need a safe space where all young people, LGBT, young migrants, young travellers, young people with disabilities, young people living in the inner city, wherever you come from, whatever your background, that you can come and meet other young people and get to know them and know that you've more in common than is different, and get to maybe even do some youth work together or some sport together or whatever is a bit of crack, and and hopefully build some social cohesion, help in our way, the way that we know as youth workers to build social cohesion in Dublin.
It's so important because I think, certainly from my own experience back in the day, you can feel very isolated, right? And that's the
Yeah,
thing. It's
yeah.
community is so important. You referenced as well like a hostile environment and the need to protect your team as well as the young people you support. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's something that as manager and as a director, so many of us working in LGBT organizations or migrant organizations have had to grapple with this, never thinking that it would be like this. But over the last few years, we've seen external landscape shifting considerably, and just way more dramatically than we could have even anticipated when we were launching our last strategic plan. So the anti-LGBT hate crime, hate speech, particularly related to trans people, as you know, is on the rise. And we've seen this in news headlines and reports about violent attacks and assaults motivated by hate. So us in organizations that work with and for, and very many of our staff who are from the community we've experienced protests, disruptions in our workplaces, online, at local libraries,
Wow.
at pride events. And these are all really anti-democratic tactics, and they're used around the world, not just here in Ireland. So we've had to really educate ourselves, invest in security and just our well-being to make sure that we continue to do the work, so that we don't get burnt out, we don't become hopeless, and we, can dust yourselves off after something unpleasant and keep going. And, and that's what we've continued to do.
That's shocking to hear. I'm so sorry to hear that. But wow. What impact do you hope that these plans will have on the young people of Ireland, the young people across Ireland?
Well, I'm hoping that over the next 3 years, Belong To and our allies working together, we will be able to really ensure that we can continue to keep the embers of hope alive. We can't let hope die. There's so much negativity out there, and our opponents want that. They want to kill hope so that we're easily, manipulated and dominated, and we become hopeless. And look, many of us have lived through times when things were really rough before, and we've survived those terrible times in the past. And so I think for us older people, and by older I mean anyone over 25 really, we have to make sure that younger people feel our support. And that, whether we are members of the LGBT community, our friends, our allies, our donors, our funders, government, our teachers, everybody, we want to make sure that young people don't become hopeless. So many of the young people in our services here in Dublin or attending youth clubs across the national network, they don't even remember a time before marriage equality. They were 4, 5, and 6. So they don't remember what it was like to, exist in a hostile environment. This is their first time. So what we have to make sure is that we call it out, that we acknowledge that what's going on is tough at the moment, but that we will work with them to find paths through this, and things will get better.
Yeah, I love that. One thing that struck me as well is certainly post-marriage equality, in times of adversity, shall we say, and allies saying, "Oh God, I thought all that had gone since marriage equality was passed." And obviously, we know, and like what you're saying today, is that is not the case, and kind of need to double down, right? I guess finally, Moninia, what do you want everyone to take away from this event today?
Well, I mean, you've said it really already, Darren. I mean, with next month, we are approaching the 10-year anniversary of marriage equality, and it's going to be a wonderful moment of celebration, of allyship. And I want to thank everybody on the call here, many of whom were our allies then, and we need you more than ever now. So many of you are already doing incredible work for and with the LGBT community. And I'd ask you to continue to stand with us as times get harder over the next 3 to 4 years, and show your support in whatever way you can through partnerships, donations, promotion of our services, and encouraging others to do the same.
Very well said. Well, thank you so much, Meninia.
Thank you.
Now, for the final part of our event, we're going to welcome Megan Quinn, a young person from Belong To. But first, we're going to show you a short video to give you a glimpse into what it's like in a youth group.
Our groups are a safe and fun space for LGBTQ+ youth to come together, find friends, build friendships and find a community. My name is Brenda, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm the senior youth worker at Belong To. So these groups are just a space for you to come and be yourself. The youth workers and volunteers are there to facilitate and run workshops based on the young people's needs and interests.
It's just so nice to see other people who are like me. Really, whatever we're doing, the people are what make it.
It's a community, it's a place where you can be just as you are.
It's just really nice to have a place to go and like relax and hang out with friends every week. It's something to look forward to. The favorite thing about the groups is that there's just always something fun to do, like something just nice, chill, go play Uno, play Mario Kart. It's just nice.
I love that. A place where you can be as you are. That's what we all want, right? I'm delighted to be joined now by Megan Quinn. Megan is a youth member of Belong To and participates, I believe, in many of these youth groups. And she's going to give us a little insight into why these. Hi, Megan.
Hi.
How are you? Thank you so much for joining us.
Good, how are you?
Megan, we just got a glimpse there of the youth groups. It looks like so much fun and a really creative bunch and a safe space, which is what we all need. Why did you get involved with Belong To, and what has that been like for you?
I got involved with Belong To last year as a part of the Pride Committee, and it's really just been a big family. It's just a huge community, and I've made so many friends.
Yeah, people that you probably would have never met outside of it, right?
Definitely. I would have
Mhm.
never been able to make all the friends that I have now, and there's so many people that I'm able to connect with in a way that I wouldn't have imagined this time last year.
Ah, I love that. It opens your world, right?
It absolutely does. It's a whole new world rather than just opening the world. It's given me so many
Ah.
opportunities.
Now, one of the main pieces that came out of the strategic plan consultations was the need for a permanent youth hub in Dublin, and I think what you're referring to as a third space. Tell us how that might improve things for for you and for LGBTQ plus youth.
Well, overall, there's really just a severe lacking of a third space, especially in the city. If you want to go somewhere, if you want to hang out with people, you have to pay, and a lot of people just don't have that financial stability to be able to do so. And it's not the same to have to text people or call over and over to try and connect with one another. There's just such a personal feeling to talking to one another face to face and having that community and that friendship form when knowing that that other person is physically in front of you is just so important, especially within a community that can be so jeopardized.
Hmm. And do you find, is it also just offering you a space where you feel very safe as well? Is that another kind of strong reason to
Oh,
have a centre?
absolutely. It's so important that especially LGBTQ youth have a space where they don't feel like they have to perform. Having that third space that's open to LGBT youth means that people can be themselves and experiment with themselves and their social status and how they fit in within society in such a safe manner, and it just opens a world of doors.
Yeah. Megan, I'm curious to ask you, what do you think is the most important issue for LGBTQ plus youth today?
Well, obviously, there's quite a few issues going on, especially with the current state of the world. But I think for me, the main issue is just the safety, especially for LGBTQ youth, not only in the city, but out in the countrysides as well. being a visibly queer young person can be such a scary challenge, really. Being able to go out of my way and be who I am, it's such an important part of who I am. I'm not able to just hide that, but trying to fit in and not be endangered or scared to be who I am is such an important part. I'm not able to walk down the street sometimes without trying to look behind me.
Oh, that makes me so sad to hear that. And, you know, I don't think anyone should ever have to hide who they are or mask who they are. And I think everyone, you know, everyone involved in Belong To and all you guys, it blows my mind. I love it. I sometimes think back to when, you know, I was probably in my early teens and you know, how that probably would have changed my life to have those connections in that community. Lastly, I want to ask you, what can people do who are with us today listening to better support LGBTQ plus youth?
Really, all you need to do is just remember we're not just a statistic, we're not just a number on a page or a tragic story. We're people who happen to be different or not as socially accepted. And that's okay. And it's something that should be encouraged and loved and acknowledged. But it's also such a small part of who you are. There's so much more that goes into being the young, amazing people that everyone I have met is. They have so much to them. There's so many talents and skills and odd facts that they'll tell you at random points, and they just happen to be queer. So just remembering that we're all people and not just the identity that differs us from society is really important.
Megan, so well said. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights and for joining us today. And that brings us actually to the end of our strategic plan launch. I just would like to say a couple of thank yous. Thank you so much to everyone who contributed to the strategic plan, including all the youth people, the youth workers, the staff, the board that Belong To. Thanks to Caroline and Ilaria at Quality Matters for coordinating the plan. Thank you to all our speakers today, Megan, Kieran, and Maninia, of course. And thank you to each and every one of you who attended. Your support is needed now more than ever, and it's appreciated more than you probably know. So have a gorgeous rest of your day, and thank you again for your support.